Hi, welcome back to the channel, Becoming a Biblical Trophy Wife. It's been a hot minute since I have uploaded a video, and that's because I had to go to the office last week for most of the week. So I decided it might be a good week to do an unpopular opinion video, one that is godly submission versus worldly submission, okay? Whether you want to admit it or not, you are submitting to someone all the time. You submit to your boss. You submit to your parents if you're still a child. So I just want to take a few minutes to really dig in and think about this submission. Ephesians 5 says that wives are to submit to their husbands. And also husbands are to submit to their wives as Christ submits to the church. So with that, think about it this way. You submit to your boss what they tell you to do, how they tell you to do it, and pretty much everything the company needs you to do. But you come home and you won't submit to your husband. He asks you, can you vacuum the floor? Can you do the dishes? Can you do the laundry? Can you do this? Can you do that? You know, be a wife. Can you be a wife? Essentially is what he's asking. And you say no. But you just said yes all day to your boss. Just something to think about. Are you submitting to your boss and not to your husband? Or if you are yet to be married, will you submit to your husband? It's not easy, you guys. It's not easy to go to work all day. I have a full-time job. I know. I go to work all day and then I come home and I have housework to do. Now, I will say my husband does help me with housework, okay? Not everybody's husband does. I understand that. But my husband does help me. I help him. You saw me post a little while ago about doing yard work because he had to work. And so it's, submitting to each other, like the Bible says. Then at work, you are told what to say. You have to be professional at work. So if you are going somewhere with your husband, let's say it's a work function or another function that he is very into or whatever, and he asks you to speak a certain way or not to speak a certain way. For example, I can sometimes I think I'm being funny, but I'm not really being funny. And so he will ask me, can you just maybe watch what you say in this area? And that's a form of submission. It's not him telling me I can't be me. It's him saying, I don't want you to do this at this particular function because it might put me in a bad light. I understand that. It's submitting to him in that way. Would you do that for your husband? Do you do that at work? Are you professional at work? Like they tell us to be, right? You're told what to wear. A lot of places have a dress code, and maybe not so much anymore at a lot of places, but I remember, now I walk into Dillard's and people are just all over the place with what they're wearing, but I remember when I worked at a retail chain like Dillard's, I had to wear no higher than just above the knee skirt. I had to wear a blouse. I had to wear a jacket if it wasn't, a blouse that with a skirt. So if it was a blouse with a skirt, I didn't have to wear a jacket. If it was a blouse with pants, I had to wear a jacket. It had to be a full thing. So I had to submit to that dress code. Some schools, if you're still a student, some schools you'll have to submit to a dress code. These are things that we have to submit to on a daily basis. And if your husband says, I really like it when you wear this particular style, I really would like to see you in more of this particular style, and you fight him on that, are you submitting to him? Really submitting to him? I would challenge you to try some of the things your husband might like to see you in. And the reason for that is that, yes, we know what we see when we look in the mirror, But what they see when they see us is not what we see. Think of it this way. I have lost a lot of weight. I've talked about it on the channel before. We've been going through a whole bunch of changes with our diet, and I've incorporated exercise and all kinds of things. And I've lost a lot of weight. But that body dysmorphia does actually happen. It is a real thing. And there are times that I don't feel the way that I look. I very often have to look in the mirror and remind myself of the hard work I've put in and how far I've come, and that what I'm feeling is not what I see or what anybody else sees. So sweet sister, look at me. Look in the mirror, okay? Don't go based on your feelings. Look in the mirror and really see yourself for all the things that you have accomplished, whether it's school or weight loss or reaching a personal goal or something like that. Really take that deep dive into the mirror and look at yourself and try to see yourself the way that your mate will see you. And then it's easier to submit to them because you see what they see. I hope that makes sense. I really do. The next thing, we're told what we can eat or when we can eat. All right, so if you work at a certain restaurant, right, you are told you can get anything on the menu at a discount, what have you, whatnot. Now, I have worked at some specialty places where they did specific menus. And so that night, if I was going to eat at work, I had specific choices. They told me what I could eat and what I could not eat because that was for the guests, okay? So we can submit to that. We can submit to designated lunch times. We can submit to designated food, but we can't submit to when our husband says, hey, I'm gonna be off work at 6 o'clock. Can dinner be ready by 7? We can't just say, sure, I can have that ready for you. I love you, I'll have that ready. Or for us to say, no, you have legs and arms, go make it yourself. I'm gonna eat before that because I'll be hungry. Are you really submitting to each other, to him? Submission is important, my friends, and it is biblical to be submissive. And it's not just what the world wants you to believe submissiveness is. It's not losing yourself. It's not, in a way it is losing yourself. You're dying to yourself and thinking about the needs of the other person. But this is a reciprocal, okay? This is not just a one-sided thing. I think about my husband's needs and he thinks about mine, and we work together. And so submission in a lot of ways can feel like you have no control, but it's really in a lot of ways very freeing because you're able to work together as a team the way that God intended it to be. So think about how you eat. Sometimes I ask my husband, hey, can I eat this? And it's not because I don't think I can, it's because he is holding me accountable to my goals, and that is his role, his job as my husband, and to help me to be his helpmate. So he's just holding me accountable in that way. Now, here's the other piece of this eating, okay? Think about your HSA. If you have an HSA like I do, you are told what you can eat, and they say, make sure you work out. Oh, and by the way, we want to see your blood work. You might get extra money if you have good blood work, okay? If you don't have high cholesterol, if you don't have a high A1C, they might put a little extra money in your HSA for you. You might want to check on that because your HSA is pretty specific most of the time on these kinds of things. So you're submitting to that. And that's what I was getting into with my husband tells me what I can eat. And I'm okay with that because it's holding me accountable. It's keeping me structured because I'm one of those people that yes, I can moderate. I'm okay with moderating, but I have a big appetite. Like I could keep eating. So we restrict my calories and we restrict how much I eat for that reason, because I could just keep going. It's not that I'm eating anything bad, it's that I eat too much. So he holds me accountable to that. But look at your HSA and really read what it says about what you have to do in order to earn that extra money. And are you willing to do that? Because if you are, you're submitting to it. All right. Next, you are creating your own family when you get married. You leave your mother and father, and you become one flesh with your husband. A lot of companies will tell you, our company is like a family. And you're submitting to that family and what they want all day, every day. So when you do that, when you submit to that company and you submit to that family, do you have energy left for your own? I can tell you from personal experience that there were times that I would go all day and submit to work, the family at work, and come home and barely have enough energy for my own personal family. But you really should think about where that energy is expended, and think about who you're submitting to and how you're submitting to them. You are sometimes told to change your beliefs. Think about the DEI training that has recently been occurring. Some of it is agreeable, most of it is not. I mean, just think about that. We have to submit to these different trainings that we have to take in our industries. And do you agree with everything that they're putting out there for you? I would venture to say that most of us have agreements and disagreements with what is in there, but you still have to submit to it and abide by it. At home, we have to submit to our husbands, ladies. It is just so important that when they make a decision, we submit to that decision, because ultimately it's in God's hands, and we can trust our husbands to make good decisions for our families. Their job is to protect us, to make sure we have everything we need, to guide us spiritually and physically, and to just make sure that our household runs smoothly. That is their job, not our job. So it's important that we show our support for our husbands and submit to what they have said. We have to account for our time. Think about your time. How is your time spent? At work, you have to account for it in time cards, charge codes, various ways that you have to spend your time. I know for my job, I have to very clearly put down how much time I've spent on certain projects. So it's very important that you get that right, because it actually can affect not only your job, but the company as well. So you have to submit to that. There's just no way around that. We're submitting to that all day, every day. But are you accountable? Do you take accountability for the time that you spend at home and how you submit to your husband? Let's say you need to clean the house, but you instead decided to watch movies or play games all day. Is that submitting to your husband or submitting to your own will? I'm not saying that submitting to your own will is wrong necessarily, but I am saying that if you've said that you would do something to your husband or to someone else, if you have promised yourself that you would get something done or do something, and you don't get it done, is that proper submission? Is that really considering where your time is being spent and spending it in the best way possible? I mean, the time that we spend on certain things is evident, and in a lot of cases can be highly appreciated if we are spending it on the right things. This brings me to our value. Okay, our value at work is determined by our behavior. How much we get paid, how our reviews look, what our products look like, what we're producing, how things are turning out for us. Versus a biblical view of this, a biblical worldview, is your value is determined by God. Husbands and wives in the eyes of the Lord have equal value and different roles. At work, we all have different roles. I mean, sometimes we may have the same job title, but what we're doing isn't always necessarily the same. We will all produce different styles of work. We all do different things, producing the same result, if that makes sense. So your value at work is determined by your behavior. Why would submission not be viewed the same way at home? I'm not saying that your value is determined by behavior. I'm saying that your submission, like how you are submitting, is determined by your behavior. Are you submitting to the things that you have promised to submit to? Are you submitting to your husband? Are you making sure things are done? Are you being the Proverbs 31 woman, waking up, making her arms strong, making sure that the whole household is fed? She made food. She would get up early before the sun rises and make food for her entire household, including her, I can't remember how the Bible says it. I don't have my Bible right in front of me right now, but her maidens, the workers that came alongside her. She would make food for all. She made sure her household was clothed. She made sure that everything was done. She went to the market and honored her husband. She brought honor to the household. So as we're submitting, our value is the same. We are valued and highly favored in the eyes of God, just as our husbands are valued and highly favored. Are we living that way? Are we showing that we're valued and highly favored? When we submit to our husband, to the authorities above us, okay? Because we all have authorities above us. I'm not just talking about marriage. I'm talking about at work too. We have those authorities above us that we must submit to in order to get those pay bumps, get those promotions, all of those things. So as you think about this, try not to think of submission in the way that the world wants you to think of it, as a bad thing. Patriarchy is not a bad thing. It's a God-designed thing. Making sure that you are following God's design, submitting to your husband, and really letting it sink in what that means. It's gonna help your marriage. I know it saved mine. And I know that sounds corny probably, but we were butting heads constantly, my husband and I. And he started talking to me about a few things, and we really started digging in about biblical submission and what that looks like and what it looks like to submit. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized I was not submitting to my husband. I was trying to control the narrative. I was trying to control the household. I was trying to control everything. But when I released that control and started submitting to him, my life has become so much more peaceful, y'all, and his too. And we don't fight hardly at all anymore. I mean, we disagree. I mean, there's nothing in submission that says you can't disagree. We do have disagreements, but not to the level that we used to. So actually submitting in a biblical way, adhering to the roles that God has placed for us, and I will put those right here for you. Ephesians 5, okay? And it's also sprinkled throughout the Bible, also Proverbs 31, okay? A little outline. I'll give you an outline of those. But some of the other things that we have to think about, what we can talk about, who we can talk to. Some places of work, and I have worked for certain places, you can't talk about anything about work outside of work. That's it. And to be honest with y'all, you shouldn't anyway, okay? Now, there are some things that you can go home and vent. right? But really, let's be real here. I had a boss many years ago, and I tell this to my children all the time. They probably get sick of hearing it. When you go to work, whatever has happened during the day before, the night, whatever, that stays out there. There's a door. It does not come inside that door. You are focused on work. I would say the same is true when you come home. You had a bad day at work? Okay, fine. Come talk to your wife about it. Talk to your husband about it. All very good things you should discuss with each other, okay? But leave the attitude about it at the door. Especially us wives, we can get real passionate and sassy about things, okay? So we want to just leave that at the door and have conversations that are calm and make sense. Because when we get sassy, we start to not make so much sense anymore. Now, since we're on the subject of talking about certain things, marriage is crucial, my friends. Do not talk to your family or your closest friends who are involved daily with things about what is happening in your marriage. You might be asking me why. Why would you say don't talk to your family about this? Well, let me tell you, because your family will always take your side and never even hear his side or her side, okay? And they will always, and this is not intentional, this is not meant to harm anyone or to hurt anyone, but they will always give you advice based on that opinion of the other person. So if you're struggling and you're having some pretty serious struggles, I would urge you, go talk to your pastor, find a counselor, a good Christian counselor that can help you through these issues. You can talk to certain friends, but you have to make sure these are trusted people that are not going to hold it against your partner, okay? And I hate the word partner, but in this instance, I'm going to say that because some of y'all might not be married yet, and you might be working towards getting married. And if that is where you are, just be so careful about what you tell your family. You want to talk about your husband or your future husband or your future wife in the best light possible. I'm not saying you're portraying sunshine and roses to everyone all the time, but what I am saying is those deep, difficult, hard things that might make a person think ill of the other person, you may want to find a neutral party for. And that is because you don't want toxic advice in your marriage, okay? So all of that to just say, you need to find these trusted people who can help you through these hard things in marriage, who can help you through these hard things in life with your spouse. Because when you involve your family, it can become very difficult to have family functions together, okay? So, for me and my husband, we do practice biblical submission. I submit to him in everything, like the Bible says. Like Ephesians 5 says, wives, submit to your husbands in everything. That means everything. He drives. I'm a passenger princess. Can't say I'm complaining about that, y'all. I kind of enjoy it. Sometimes I drive. We do take turns on occasion, but for the most part, he drives. He makes the decisions for our household. Now, I can come home with ideas. I can bring thoughts and things to the table. We discuss it. We either agree or disagree, but even if I disagree with him and he says, no, this is the way we're going, I submit to that, okay? I submit to the food we eat in our house. We do not buy certain foods, nor do we allow it to even be brought into our home, which means our children also submit to this. I just think it can be so dangerous to think of submission in such a bad way, because it's not bad. It's very freeing. because he's taking the responsibility that God placed on him to make all of these decisions. Whether it is something simple like food, clothes, the phone bill, what have you, whatever it is, that is his job, and I do not take that from him. So, all of that said, do your own research on biblical submission. There are some people, I will put channels in my comments for you so you can go and check it out for yourself. I know that there are a few that my husband and I like to watch that are, I guess you could say, somewhat controversial. However, I don't disagree with them. So I will put them in the comments for you. You can go check them out for yourself. But anyway, thank you all for watching so much. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I'm going to have some more carnivore stuff coming out for you soon, recipes and just fun things that you can do. I'll also have more content like this, talking about biblical submission and what that looks like in my marriage. And again, not telling you what you have to do, just saying what has worked for us and what is working for us, because there was a lot of strife there for a while, and now we don't have that. So just some things to consider. The last thing I will leave you with is God did not put you with the wrong partner. You do not have the wrong partner. You're speaking different languages and you're trying to take each other's jobs. Go back to what we are supposed to do, our biblical roles, and give it a try. See if it doesn't help. Find trusted people that you can talk to about any issues that you are going through. People who are not going to try to cause more division in your marriage, but will actually give you the advice to keep you together, because that's what's important. Families are being torn apart, and one of my goals is to see more families stay together. I've seen more people get divorced in my lifetime than I ever would have hoped I would see. And I hope that that decreases. And I know that for my family, I'm breaking the cycle right here by going back to God's plan for marriage. So be strong, be grateful. And ladies, always be your husband's prize. He chose you, you chose him. Be the prize. Love y'all.